weird going on, no doubt about it. Well, hello, everyone. Yeah, as you heard in that part of our conversation, something weird's going on. So
Yeah.
we have Trina back. Trina, good to see you, my dear.
Hi.
And we were just talking that how reality has so much changed in our lifetimes. It's really bizarre. I mean, I don't know what say you?
I know for me, it's been like amazing, but for like my grandmother, she's 94. And when I look back at her life, it's amazing the changes that we've seen in 100 years. It's mind blowing.
Yes, my grandmother passed away, been over, now as I think about it, almost 15 years, but she lived to be nearly 100. And yeah, it kind of goes to this whole thing as I'm reading The Multidimensional Man, that I don't know how we can congregate as a whole when we live our lives basically in seclusion to self.
I think I might have figured that out.
Well, hold that thought. And no, go ahead. Let's talk about that. I can invoke favor here in a couple of minutes.
I literally had revelation about that like in the past week. It's been coming in different ways. And I keep getting hit over and over again with, you have to go into the subconscious mind.
Mm-hmm.
And then it was like, I'm thinking it's like, most of like politics and stuff, our age bracket isn't even really in there. Like they skipped us from the baby boomers and went right through, you know what I mean? And I'm like,
yeah.
Our voice isn't even actually present. And then I was thinking, but I wonder if it's because it's not supposed to be, because we're supposed to be working on the unseen, the deeper parts of the mind, which is actually what makes the construct. So I'm thinking if we can come together in our subconscious minds, we can change the construct. Like the affirmations that you wrote, Wayne, if we did a recording where that could be played while we were sleeping, we would all be listening to the same program, and the same manifestation would be hitting the subconscious mind. And that's where the changes truly take place, because it's so powerful. That part of our mind is so powerful. So to truly make a change in this conscious reality, the only way to do it is to get out of the mind that created it, which therefore you have to go into the programs, into the subconscious mind. And 2020, we've got Pluto and Saturn and Jupiter like making this crazy conjunction. It's the perfect recipe.
So as you were talking, I was opening my mind to the energies that are out there. Here's what I came to. If you look back at particularly the baby boomers, and as I look at this, something happened to us. I don't know if you want to call it on a spiritual level. I don't know if you want to call it on a cosmic level, but no doubt about it, the baby boomers changed mankind more than any one generation ever has. And I can't see the future, and I don't know if it will always be, but I do know this. So my point to this, I was thinking about the Beatlemania, when it came and swept the world. And at that time, America was the world.
Yes.
As America did, so the world followed. And when you go back and you look at some of the films of what that mania was like as it swept across the consciousness of our generation, I can't help but not believe. And then let's take it another step further. If you look at the Woodstock movement, that was a real awakening of awareness. Huge, yeah.
Huge.
And as I look back, we did not have the right teachers. We were basically going in this pretty much haphazardly.
I think you guys brought the energy into the planet because you were able to receive it. Like you were the antennas to bring in this brand new energy. I think you guys actually did that.
Yeah, I would almost agree with you. I mean,
Yeah,
I grew up
feels
in,
like to me. It feels like you guys literally were the antennas to receive that peace, unity, love vibration that I don't think was on this planet for a very long time.
yeah, yeah. And, as in a dualistic reality, I think as well that there was a counterforce to this.
Oh,
And I contend, because if you look at this strategically, if you look at Gates, you look at Jobs, Wozniak, the rest of them, they were truly the boomers. Um, they brought in, I believe, the portals to bring this whole thing about. And then the next generation behind us, which I guess was Generation Z, right?
I think so.
No, the Xers, the
Yes,
Xers,
X.
the Xers. And isn't it odd? The Xers, if you look at that sigil as an X, it's a very powerful force. They came in and they added their perception to it, their consciousness. And today we now live in this, it's a very interesting reality. I contend that what we started in the late 60s and 70s is fully manifesting now.
Yeah. And you're seeing a harder division too happening within the
Yeah.
planet between nature and technology. It's like you're
Ooh.
seeing this dualism just expressing itself like full on right now.
Now, we did not meet, folks, but Trina, we're going to get into something. I pulled up a book that you're going to be surprised. So let me just invoke favor upon everyone who's listening. Welcome, everyone. Thank you for joining us. Thank you, all the moderators. Thank you, all the ones that you're taking time. Listen, we know you can be wherever you want to be, and it's an honor to have you here amongst us. I just invoke favor upon your life. Hey, supernatural favor, that favor that just overflows into prosperity. And then that just kind of waves right into full restoration, nothing missing, nothing broken be found in your lives. And, if you do that every day, it's just far out. That's all I can tell you. A couple of announcements. So I was really happy to hear this. So tonight over on Milky Way Messenger's channel, that's Brian, Franny is going to be a guest with Brian. Now, how cool is that, Trina? I mean, I just think that is just far out, you two. I think that I'm going to tune into that because I think that that is just far out. And I'm going to be very curious to see what the conversation pursues on that. Also, next Tuesday, Patrick Garrett, and that's with an A, we will be talking with the planets. Trina,
Yeah.
I think this is going to be, I think that the first part, and then, what Patrick had to deal with, and now there is this, well, I think there's this extra help. That's all I got to say. So I'm looking forward to seeing what we're going to do.
Yeah.
I just think it is. So real quick, I want to get the affirmations out because, folks, I believe in this stuff, man. So this is the one that Peter consolidated. There is my sigil. I hope you're doing your own sigil work. If you use in a digital format, it's kind of cool. We're going to get into that more. So condensing this now, the daily invocation is I am whoever you are. Maybe who's ever occupying the space at the time. I don't know. So, and no longer accept the premise that the material world is the source of my needs. No more. It stops now. I am, and I love that I am, because I am. Therefore, acknowledge God, whatever God means to you, the divine creation, as the only source of all of my wants and needs. Thus, I affirm that every word, thought, and action. If you're practicing lucid dreaming, you're going to need this, which goes forth from me shall not return to me void without producing any consequence, but shall accomplish that which I intended. It shall produce the results which I willed. Trina, we're going to talk some about that a lot more on today's show. It shall then dwell within me until sent forth once again. I am conscious and aware of these truths, which provide all my physical and spiritual support. Thus, God is lavish and limitless within me. Within me, abundance flows eternally. Within me, restoration is ongoing. Within me, all of my needs are instantly met. There's a lot to that. Within me, manifestation is constantly forming. That's so cool. Within me resides the divine spirit of the Creator. Within me, I have no unfulfilled desires or wants. I acknowledge God, the divine and the eternal Creator, for the mercy, prosperity, restoration, spiritual growth, and opportunity to be. And there you go. I think that's just pretty cool. You know?
I think it is beautiful and it is so powerful. And it was created out of just an intention to do a really beautiful thing. And I think that's what makes it so powerful.
Well, I know this. So things are changing in our world.
Fast.
When I had to start training myself, because I didn't have any trainers, when most teenagers have that parental, there is a structure within the schools that you have this hierarchy that you are basically melded into. Yeah. For me, because of the situation, the state of Texas, I was on my own at the age of the prime age of 15. And I didn't have that. And so I had to basically, Trina, discipline myself, which I did all right. It depends on your perspective. But anyway, so words are magic. Magic is becoming ever more commonplace. So get this. Just scrolling through the headlines, I came across this little nugget. This is out of the LA Times. The story, this is a woman who basically, she was doing an article on witches and found her own self-empowerment. She became a witch herself.
Isn't that the way it works sometimes?
Now, if I understand correctly, witch actually means wise woman.
Yes. Yeah, and one connected to nature too, understanding and be able to receive the wisdom of nature. That's how come they knew how to provide medications, because they knew which herbs to use. It's the nature's intuition of the woman. It's a powerful, beautiful thing.
Yeah, and here's the interesting thing. I said this about a year or so ago, that every corporation needed either a sorcerer or a witch on their payroll. Yep. And I still contend this. If I know there's CEOs that listen to me from my past that, listen, I'm telling you guys and ladies something, you really need to look into magic. And I think that what I'm trying to bring to bear on this is that this is a shift. I really do believe this. The structure of the hierarchy of religions, the world religions, are abating. I just read that the Southern Baptists are having their big convention, and they have acknowledged that the shine and the luster of Christianity no longer has its luster. And I found it really odd when I was reading some of the notes there that they have acknowledged, get this, of this spiritualism reawakening, i.e. witchcraft, magic, etc.
Yep. And I see this too with the kids, because you got to figure, like, it all started with Twilight, with the vampire stuff and getting on that. So they're not only introducing it to the adults, they're introducing it to the full spectrum.
How observant. All right. I wanted to bring this out to everybody. Allow me real quick. So the Earth is going through a phenomenon. These are pictures that have been taken in the last 4 days here in the United States. This was Oregon, and this was, I believe, and don't quote me, but this, I believe, was up in Upper Washington State. These are called iridescent nanosudden clouds. They're electric blue clouds, Trina, that are now appearing all over the globe.
All I keep hearing on that is Aurora Borealis, and I keep hearing plasma.
Something is a happening.
Yep.
Anyway, and then we're going to get on, but I just thought this story was so interesting about the elephants that was filmed grieving the death of one of the babies in the tribe. And the elephants had a funeral procession as they were taking the little elephant that had died to bury.
Oh.
Well, what elephants do, these are extremely intelligent creatures. I contend, Trina, that we have regrettably, I think in so many ways, I don't know, lost our ability to communicate with the shared species on this planet.
Some have, for sure. I was so grateful to be, I grew up in a very rural area, and there weren't a lot of kids, so I had to drive a mile on my dirt bike to see my nearest neighbor. It was one of those type of things. So I was forced to be alone in nature, which was desert for me, but it was still nature. And I think that I am so grateful for that foundation, because then the world took me away as a teenager. And, once I got the driver's license, the dirt bike was gone. Boy, I am so glad I had the foundation on my dirt bike with my pit bull and nature.
I agree with you. There was a period in my time which was it was the most painful time in my young life. But as I look back, it was also the time that I was more connected to Earth and to the spirits than I ever was. When you're being beaten every day, you become, as a, particularly, 10, 11, 12-year-old, you begin to find the solace for myself was climbing up into trees and basically communing with, I didn't have a concept of God, but I knew that there was something there.
Yes.
Yeah. Nature.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. We're wired that way. We just know. We just haven't been knowing.
I think it gives us connection, doesn't it?
I think it's the thread that keeps the whole entire web together.
Did you go barefoot as a kid?
All the time.
See, same here.
All the time. My dad used to drink once in a while, so we would have to take off and get away. And I swear to God, that's how we knew to win, because he couldn't run barefoot through the desert. So yeah, I was like, run, and we would just take off, and he couldn't go. So we were safe.
Oh, now, Trina, I can actually picture that. I actually can. That is, isn't that amazing? It's they depicted that one scene in, with Forrest Gump, run, Forrest, run.
Absolutely.
Well, yeah.
Absolutely. Sometimes that is the best option.
You learn this as a kid, and, it sucks. Any kid has to face that.
Oh, yeah. Well, yeah.
But
parents discipline different, when we were growing up.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I mean,
it was not the same situation as these kids got now. They have no idea. What was normal for us is not normal for them. They have no idea.
None. I mean, I grew up in Texas. So
your elders.
Oh,
matter. It could be the neighbor two streets down. If you were disrespectful to him, he'd backhand you. It was different.
It was way different. Our coach, listen, I got paddled. I got sent to both the coach's office and to the assistant principal. And Mr. Barber, still remember that son of a bitch. But I love the man. I don't know, maybe he had a sadistic side, but boy, I'll tell you what, he had a paddle that had 6 holes drilled in it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'll tell you what, he didn't feel that he properly administered the licks, and that's what they were called.
Yeah.
Unless he lifted your ass off the floor.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. And that was normal.
It was normal. But you know what, Wayne? I was born in 1970, so I'll be 50 this year. When I went to school, I had the same thing happen to me. I got called in for the paddling, and this guy had the drills and the whole thing, and he was so ready to get me. And it was so funny. I acted like I was going to let him do it. And as soon as he back swung, man, I bolted so fast, and he hit that paddle up against the desk, and it broke in half. And he was so mad. He was so mad. And I looked at him. I said, nobody's going to beat my butt unless it's my daddy. And as far as I can see it, you are not him. And I literally bolted out of the school and ran and called my mom from Circle K.
Way to go, girl. Now,
my mom's like, oh, you won't hit my kid. I was like, oh, yeah, no.
Not going to happen.
Right.
No. Listen, I remember the girl's name to this very day, Cindy Muse. I'll never forget this, 7th grade. And we were in science class. Third hour. Anyway, she did something, and they actually brought the assistant principal, Mr. Barber, and she actually got 2 swats out in the hall.
Yeah, they used to do that at my school too. They'd swat you in the hall.
Yeah. So, anyway, it shows how things have changed. And
could you imagine if a teacher broke out a paddle and started beating your kid this day and age? What would happen to them?
Let's see, they'd be fired. They'd be put in jail.
For us, it was normal. Yeah. I mean, I don't know any other kid in my whole school that went to get the paddle that didn't get the paddle except for me.
Yeah.
They all took it. I was like, hell no.
Well, boy, we really got off on a tangent there. But hey, it kind of just shows where things have changed and how reality has changed.
So much. It's so different. Like I said, these kids have no idea the way we were raised. It's such a different world. It's so different.
And as I look back, pros, cons, however you want to look at it, it did make me tougher.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it did.
Oh,
it really did.
That's what I'm talking about, Wayne. I think that maybe we're the ones that aren't really having a big voice because we're not supposed to, because we're supposed to be the ones who come from the back. And we're like the Trojan horse. Mm-hmm. And
wow. Well,
and we all have these feisty spirits.
Well, we do. We actually do. And,
yeah.
So discipline, it kind of comes back full circle. The title of today's was, what happens when your dreams come true? So I want to show the audience. I sent this around to some. I think that you'll find this to be very interesting. On Sunday, this is my house looking out literally on the alcove of our front porch. Sunday, we had a rainbow, Trina, literally end on top of my house and the front yard and went about halfway across the street. We actually had neighbors walking out, marveling that this rainbow was ending right on top of our house. It was weird.
So profound. I would literally, when you showed me that, I was floored. I was like, you literally had the end of the rainbow come on top of your front porch. That's insane.
What? I mean, yeah. What? There it is.
That's
it's
crazy stuff right there, Wayne. I mean,
so I'm curious as to, and I actually have a video of this, folks. It's there.
It's amazing. I've tried to catch the end of the rainbow on my dirt bike doing 50. It's hard.
Did you catch it?
Never once. I got really close a couple times though, because it was. Yeah.
I mean, throughout my life, I have always seen like you said, you could see where the rainbow was ending, but it was never near in law.
Not close enough. I mean, and I was going fast trying to catch it.
I bet you were. Were you a tomboy?
Huh? Oh yeah.
I bet you were.
Yeah. Well, my
Yeah.
dad wouldn't have it any other way, you know? So
Wow.
he was like,
Yeah.
yeah, step up to the plate. Okay.
You remind me of a friend I had. Her name was Pamela. And yeah, I mean, she would whoop your ass in a second. I mean, there was,
Because you got, obviously she had training. See?
oh, yes, she did.
But
Yeah.
I'm telling you, you get training. It's like unfortunate, but so it makes you strong.
Yeah. I don't know you, but I have a sense that you were probably a skinny kid too, weren't you?
Just medium as a gymnast, so I was very muscular.
I bet. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I
Well,
love
you were
that.
running a lot through the desert. What the
Yeah,
heck?
yeah, yeah,
uh,
all the
So,
time.
Lady Gray Raven, you're absolutely right. I did dream about a rainbow. This is so weird. So, it really kind of just, what was your take on? I guess what I'm looking for is feedback from the community. What would it mean if a rainbow literally ended on top of you?
Mm.
What would it mean to you?
You know what it means to me?
Yeah.
To me, for you to walk out at that precise moment, to actually catch it and see it, and it's on your front porch. It literally, like to me, it says that you've opened up a whole new capacity to manifest light on this planet, and you've actually become the power of the rays.
Wow.
That's what it says to me. It was like a huge gift.
I can tell you what my wife said.
What?
She said, She says, now this beats everything. She says, and she literally looked at me and she said, well, I have to say, I've never seen this before.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
never have
You
either.
know,
That's beautiful.
yeah.
It's a
So,
rare, precious gift, and I think it's confirmation that you are just being blessed. Like they are saying, good job. We're giving you all the support, all the information. You now can tap into anyone you want because you've earned it.
well, let's get it on.
Yeah, right.
That's all I got Al Green in the back of my head, you know. Um,
Yeah.
so, Trina, I wrote to you earlier in an email and I said, isn't it odd how in this reality that we live in, we are taught that dreams rarely come true.
Yeah.
Is that not true?
Oh, it's totally true. But
Okay.
then on the opposite end, they've been feeding us with Cinderella, Snow White, Sleeping Beauty, and all this crap our whole life too. So they put the dream out there, but then they tell you, oh, but you'll never get it.
Mm. So, as a young girl growing up, um, help me on this. Give me a perspective on this. So, boys are conditioned in this culture when I was growing up. It was army soldiers, cowboys, and Indians, etc.
Mm-hmm.
So, what was it that you were being basically conditioned to in those 6, 7, and 8-year-old years?
You got to figure the very end of the movement for Woodstock and everything. My mom was born in the 50s. I mean, so you know what I mean? There was a lot going on. My dad was born in the 50s. So no, in the 40s. So, and they were into like 57 Chevys and old cars. So I got like the whole, their past mingled with my future. And my future was like, when I was a little kid, we were getting ready to go into the 80s. And the movement of the 80s
Oh
was
yeah, yeah.
great. So yeah, I was 10 years old in the 80s. That was
Okay.
I turned 10 on 1980. So we were getting exposed to roller skating rinks, um, music. Music was huge from you guys. You guys brought the music in. And I think that's when they changed the music.
Yeah, I actually was seeing the Liberty concert with Hall and Oates, 1985. And there is Daryl Hall, the big hair. That's what I remember. 80s. A lot of
Yeah.
sex in the 80s. Well, there was a lot of sex in the set. All right. So, were you brought up though for the ideal of Prince Charming? I mean, was there that ideal of there would
Yeah.
be someone who would rescue you, take
I
you
don't know.
away?
I don't know if I had the rescue you thing, but it was like, for me, it was a symbology of a perfect partnership.
Mm.
So for me, it was like, can you find your Prince Charming, the one who is like your perfect match?
Yeah. Okay.
That was what it was for me.
Okay.
But I think every girl has it some way in their mind, however it is, but it's all different ways. But for
Yeah.
somehow we all adopted the program, but we put it into the way we perceive.
Interesting.
So there's
Very
multiple
interesting.
ways that we've all received the same program. So yeah, it spiders out just like the web of the mind, and you're going to pick up with the same references that you've already got built into your memory construct, which is the subconscious strata.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
How interesting, and I was thinking about you at 10 years old, 1980, and I'm thinking about a 10-year-old in 1960,
Mhm. Yeah,
that, wow, what a dichotomy. I mean, it truly is. I mean, it's mind-blowing when you think about it.
totally.
And
Totally.
that gets me to the point that, one of the things that initially sought out meditation for was to be able to, because I came out of a different mindset. I was of the Earl Nightingale, Brian Tracy, Zig Ziglar,
Yeah.
that type of conditioning.
When chivalry still existed.
Yeah, 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 it
Yeah.
really does. Yeah.
Oh, it did. Now,
Yeah.
yeah. And my generation, that was what we were dreaming for, was the chivalry that you guys brought to the movie screens and stuff. That was our foundation. That
How
was
interesting.
that was our
Yeah.
program. Yep. Yep.
Well, that was manifested in Ghost, which I still contend was probably one of the best love stories of, you
Oh,
know,
yeah. One of my favorites.
I mean, how can you not,
Oh,
say that Ghost Story was not a true love story?
beautiful. Dragonfly too possesses that same beautiful love story, but on a different level.
Hmm.
Amazing movie if anybody hasn't seen it. Dragonfly with Kevin Costner. Amazing movie.
I'll have to check that out.
Oh, you'll love it. You'll love it,
Yeah.
Wayne. Yeah, you'll really
I'll
enjoy
check
this.
that out.
Yeah.
The thing I always found about, with Ghost was that, it's the thing that we all hope for, is that, there is this thing called the afterlife.
Yeah, and I love when he says, it's so amazing. All the love. You get to take it with you. I was like,
Yeah,
oh,
I remember that line. Yeah.
that's so
Yeah.
beautiful. All the
Yeah.
love. You get to take it with you. Oh,
I'm seeing that replay right now in my head.
yeah,
I saw that the scene with the light coming down.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
You get to take it
yeah.
with you.
You
All
know,
the love.
you
Yeah.
know, that's the thing that, when I think about what I'm learning now, and particularly as I get near the end of this book, it's very impacting, in as much that I've experienced lucid dreaming, so I know that exists.
Mhm.
I've experienced astral projecting. I know that that exists. So what I find curious now is that as I'm reading about others, that apparently there will come a time, if you're at death, apparently, if you approach it as just surrendering to it,
Mhm.
that energy apparently transcends over.
Mhm.
Where if you approach it with fear, it makes the transition a lot more bumpier, I guess.
You know how they showed me that, Wayne?
How?
You're a magnet to your emotional field. So
Hmm.
whatever you're resonating at, that frequency, you're going to be locked into an identical frequency.
Wow.
So you got to be very centered and balanced and have no fear. That's why in the Bible it says over and over again, fear not, have no fear. Because seriously,
Yeah.
that will be your best friend.
It's a mind killer.
No, there's nothing to be afraid of. This is a natural process. Everybody goes through it. It's happened billions and billions and billions of times. It's
Yeah, yeah. And apparently it depends on your perspective. Apparently we've gone through it
yes,
quite a few times individually. So uh
yes.
and as I remember when who's ever speaking to me, and sometimes I know they're different forces, But I'll never forget, I was meditating and this voice came in and said, "Hey, Steiger, were you afraid of your birth?" I
Yep.
went, "What?"
They hit me with those two sometimes. I'm like, oh yeah, duh.
It's like, where did that come from?
Exactly. Yeah, your own higher self saying, hello.
Talk about,
Right. Do you think we don't got this? Do you think that
you really think that you have really progressed, and then you get this question of going, what?
Yeah. And they're like, hello.
Hello? Yeah, is there anyone home?
You're like, sorry, I'm a little slow. It takes
Like,
me a while.
what happened here? That is funny. So dreams.
Mm-hmm.
Have you had dreams that haven't come to pass?
Oh yeah, and I've had ones that do too.
So it's an interesting thing when I wrote this, because I said, if we lived in a reality and if we were apparently disciplined enough in our minds, we literally could project out every dream. And then after I wrote you this morning, I went and meditated a little bit, and then this is what hit me. What if we are?
Mm-hmm.
What if everyone in the chat room, everyone that's listening to us, well over 200 people, folks, what if you're actually living out your dream in your current condition right now?
Right. Mm-hmm.
Well, that would imply our dreams do come true, good or bad.
Yes. I think that's a strong possibility. Very strong.
All I got to say is that, Alice, this is the weirdest damn trip I've ever been on.
That's what I'm saying. If this truly is a dream, then that means the only way to get it to do what you need it to do is to handle what's going on in the subconscious or the dream world.
Yeah, it kind of does get down to this whole thing, doesn't it? I was making tea and I could sense that there was a presence in the kitchen, and I just simply said, "I know that you're here for whatever purpose." I said, "You can stay or you're free to go. I have something I need to do, unless you have something to say."
Right.
And there was complete silence. So I'm convinced of this. Getting back to all this, I wonder if sometimes if the spirits linger here, and I'm trying to project this, is they're projecting a dream on us, the living.
When I see spirits that stay for long periods of time, it seems like they're stuck in their own mental loop.
Okay. I hear that. Yep.
During their transition, which I think naturally can be up to 90 days.
Mm-hmm.
So they'll be strongly around for up to 90 days. That's, I think, a normal transition, but they usually move on and then they're gone. The ones that don't seem to be in a loop. So
interesting.
That's a concern, but many of them are very happy playing out their loop. So they feel safe with it. And, that's a downfall of humanity, because part of our program is that we love repetition. We like to know what's going to happen. So we'll stay inside of our own loop because it's too scary to get outside of it, because at least we know what this is like. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I do, because as I'm thinking about this, we're creatures of habit.
Yes, it's a strong program.
And if it's so embedded in us here in this construct, let me tell you, Trina, I'll make a confession to you and everyone listening. I used to have this screen thing, and because I actually took it from the Bible, actually from Paul's writings, that, there was going to be this transition, that everything that was going to go through a fire, that everything was pure and right was going to be left, and that which was hay and stubble would be burned away. And then we would come into this awareness. But I'm not seeing that play out. I can't see that play out, because if that's the way it plays out, then what have we learned here?
I can kind of see that play out in our minds.
Okay, let's go with that.
The fire is the igniting of the pineal gland and the downloads of new informations, new possibilities, new potentials. I see that could happen in the mind.
Do you think that there is a lingering?
Well, I think we got to clear away the darkness. Like it says, get rid of those tears. We got to go do our shadow work, fight our inner demons. I mean, go and kill them. Get out your samurai sword and take care of business. You can do whatever you want in these realms, and that's what we need to connect back into. We need to get back into what's in our mind that's making us think, feel, and perceive and behave the way we are. These are all programs, and they've been done to us subconsciously through symbols, frequencies, all of it, religion, government, all of it, the products we buy, the stores we go to, it's everywhere. It is deep magic that has been used on us, and it is aimed at our subconscious mind. So if we, as conscious beings, are playing their programs, we're manifesting their reality. The only way to fix that is to go into your programs and put in what you want.
Yeah. Okay. I'm trying to pull up something here, and I hope it comes up and doesn't. It's not. Sigils. So we're gonna tomorrow. I'm going to be teaching more on that because the sigils are
subconscious.
I'm being shown sigils in my dreams now. It's very powerful.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it truly is.
This is one I saw years ago. It is different than most.
Oh, how? Let's see that again. That is far out.
It's doodles. I doodle and I see stuff and I just write it down. And it's like this is one I saw years ago, and I heard the divine of central well-being, creativity, through the seeing of the light. Venus is realized. I don't know what that means. Venus is realized. And then it was showing me that like this was like a flipping around of Pluto and Venus in symbology. And it was the merging of this new energy, and that it would be coming through our mind. And then I heard that the roots of our tree come from the gods that were before. So this is our foundation. It's directly a lineage through the gods.
Yeah, you know what? Trina, I owe you this. We need to get the sigils for the planets.
Yeah, they're amazing. I have them.
You do? Well, yeah. I'd love to borrow them. Yeah, we'll use them on. Okay, great. Oh, how cool is that? Okay.
Yeah. Moon.
Okay.
Yeah, and guess what else they have in this book? Because what I might do is I'll send you these pictures, or maybe I'll let you can see if you can get this book.
I think, yeah.
It has this one, which is so interesting.
Oh, that's far out.
Vulcan.
How freaking cool is that? You want to see something? This is the Steiger sigil. Can you see that?
Oh, yeah. Wow.
So the Vulcan symbol, this is powerful magic. I'm going to talk about it on my radio show as well, is that I'm becoming convinced, Trina, that this is probably the most powerful magic that I have ever come across, now that my eyes are open to really see what's going on.
Because, Wayne, symbols work directly with our subconscious mind.
Yes. I think more readily than words do.
Yeah, yes, I think so too. So that's what I'm telling you. What we're unlocking right now, it might be the thing that changes the entire world. Because if we restructure our subconscious programs through putting in the proper programs that we wish to see expressed upon this planet, we are truly looking at the possibility of turning it heaven on earth.
So Al, David, talking to you as well, and the others, you just gave me something. Karen is willing to send everyone a crystal, but we need to focus as a group. We need a group sigil.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm telling you, all of us coming together in our minds, working through the subconscious. That's like when you do like shamanic work or or like Dolores Cannon work, when you go into a light state of trance, or you go into those deeper states of your mind, the information that comes out of there is not the same that's in your conscious strata at all.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, and when you can go in there and find out where are my blocks, where are my demons, where is trauma hiding inside of me that I have no idea. When you find these things inside of yourself and you pull them out and you face them and you fix them, you're healing a whole part of the subconscious strata in your mind.
So
all new programs.
I got more emails yesterday on yesterday's show on forgiveness, self-forgiveness, practicing self-forgiveness. And the only way I can tell people to defeat those demons is exactly that, is through self-forgiveness. Every demon is usually created because of a guilt or a vice that is perceived.
I think one of the fastest ways for people to heal with forgiveness is to understand forgiveness does not mean that the other person is left unaccountable for what they've done.
Bingo.
The crime or the injustice or whatever it was, the abuse, it doesn't change the fact of their actions. The only thing that you can do is forgiveness. If you can do it, it's not a gift for them at all. It's completely 100% for you, because once you can forgive, the only thing it does is it takes the emotional charge out of your body, which in essence is a knife stuck in your back.
So I'll share this with the group,
Yeah, forgiveness is a total gift for yourself, because when you cut that stuff loose, it frees you on a level you can't even imagine. So it's truly for you.
And I want to address this thing because, sometimes people perceive that, well, if I forgive someone who's committed a harm, that, there's no retribution or punishment. It's not your monkey. The thing is, once you forgive it, and I'll share something. I was literally in the spirit. I was astral projecting. I was actually at my dad's bedside, and I remember looking at him. We had a conversation, and my departing words to him was literally is that I forgive you.
Yeah.
And I left. And the point to that is that it's not my responsibility as to what does or does not happen to them.
Yes.
Yeah. I don't ever want to be in a position to where I'd have to make that decision. Yeah, I figured,
one of the most healing things to look at from that perspective is also, okay, I'm so glad that I didn't create this. I would rather be the receiver than the creator, because I know that hurt in this lifetime, but that's going to hurt in everyone thereafter.
Yeah.
So yeah, what you received is probably nothing in essence comparative to what they've all chosen to have done to their own self by their own choices and their own actions, because they'll have to be accountable.
Well, the thing that I have come to understand is that, and I'll speak very personally with everyone, with my father was an angry young man. And he was not aware, he had not been taught. I don't even know if he ever had the desire to learn. And his way was, it was to strike out. You didn't meet to his standard, bam. You didn't follow the line, bam. And I come to finally understand something about my dad. He lived in a mental torment that I'd never want to be in. He was trying to live to those same standards that he couldn't live to. So.
And doesn't that change the way you feel about it?
Oh yeah.
That perspective and that higher knowing, something inside of you, and all that charge just left your body like it was nothing.
Yeah. I mean, it was the biggest breakthrough for me, spiritually.
Yeah.
And I know that there's a crowd up there.
Right there. That's mastery.
Yeah.
That's mastery.
Well, some of these things we don't talk about all the time, but
hard things are the things that bring us to these levels of, man, this is so big that you don't know if you can fix it. And when you do, you are doing the good work, and that is mastery level. And it is really hard to do that here.
No.
So kudos to you, because you are doing the work. Most important work.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yep.
Sometimes there's some of us that have been given a task. and
Or did we sign up?
yeah, that's my question. I have no doubt someone's going to hand me the contract and go, "Hey, Steiger, do you see
Are
this?"
you sure this was in there?
Yeah, going, "Now wait a minute. When did I sign this?" And what do you want to bet it'll be a sigil? Like, well, where the hell did this come from?
Yep. Yep.
Now that is funny, Trina. That just cracks me up.
You know what else I see too is I see like sigils. I see some of them like have been placed upon us as seals.
Yes.
Yeah.
I've told the story. I was in a car going to be murdered. There was a group of guys, you can call them Satanists, you can call them whatever they were, but apparently I had pissed off one of them, and I'll never forget the dude in the front seat that was over the passenger side, because I was in between two others, and he turned around and looked at the rest of the people in that car, and he says, "We can't touch this dude." And of course they're going, "What?" The whole thing. But he said he has got a seal on his forehead.
Yep. I was told that too one time, that you were sealed, and I literally saw it on my forehead. I was like, what does that even mean? And it was a protection seal.
Well, I happen to agree, because I'm sure there's others in the chat room and others that are listening to this. We've all had those experiences, near-death experiences.
Yeah.
And I contend that I think that death saw there is a seal. Those are the type of things that I know personally stick with you. It's like, yeah.
Big time. Because you're like, wow. And you're like, how did I just get out of that without a scratch? And then you're like, wow. And when you hear, what you heard and what they told you, and you're like, I'm sealed, and yet that thing couldn't touch me. It's a mind-blowing experience.
Oh, it gets weirder. So we came to a stoplight. Now this is like at 1:00 in the morning. I mean, they were literally going to take me out in the field, and when the guy in the front seat had said that, they were at a stoplight, and guess what? 2 Houston patrol cars pulled up on each side.
Yeah.
And oddly enough, the cops in the other car began to stare at these dudes, and the lights went on, and me and my butt got out of there.
Yep.
Yeah, they were arrested. I told the cops that, then they found the guns, and yeah.
Yep.
So yeah, I believe in this stuff.
You know what, Wayne? I lived out in the middle of the desert.
Yeah.
And when I was I'd say it was 10 or 11 years old, I literally witnessed a major satanic ceremony going on out in the desert when I was a kid. I didn't even know any of that stuff existed. I had no knowledge of these things.
Well, pray tell, can you recall the story for us?
Oh, it was terrible. They had a bunch of people, and that's what got us to go out there. I was having a sleepover at my friend's house, and she lived even further out in the desert than I did, even further north. So we were having a sleepover, and I couldn't sleep because when I was in new places, my radar was up sometimes. And if things weren't right, I just felt it and knew it. So I was wide awake, and it was like 2:00 in the morning. And all of a sudden, I'm not talking 20 or 30 cars. I'm talking over 200 cars, maybe even 300 cars, all started heading deep out in the desert. So curious me, I'm like, what do you think's going on out there? So we snuck out, and we grabbed her ATV. It was a 3-wheeler, and we pushed it far away from the house, and we started it, and we didn't turn on the lights. And we went out there, and we were following them. And by the time we got out there, there was hundreds of people out there, and they were chanting, and they had a ceremony going on, and they had a girl pinned up and tied to a cross.
Really?
and they were carving her body with knives, and she was so drugged, I don't think she felt it because she wasn't screaming.
My.
Yeah, and they had hooded people there and the whole thing. I freaked out, man. I was like, if they find us, we're going to be on the cross. We got to go. And I got out of there as fast as I could, and that will never ever leave my memory ever. It was terrible.
Wow.
We went out there the next morning, and there were mattresses with blood all over them and all kinds of gross stuff. Yeah.
Huh. That
And I'm
is.
telling you, Wayne, this was a large gathering. Large.
They
Mhm.
exist.
Yeah, and this was like in 1981. Mm-hmm.
You know, I was going to say this. Probably most of your politicians were involved in that, at least some of the, you know,
It was very, very organized and very, very on time. It was literally like super strategic.
mm, mm, mm.
And
If
then
you
to
could
have that
remember the
cross up and
date,
have that girl on that cross already in like 45 minutes. This was all like they were ready to go. And I have a feeling too, because I have a feeling that they did that exact thing right at 3 o'clock, 3 a.m.
yep, yep. As I
We
told
were out
everyone,
there, wrapped up and gone by 4.
yep. People don't understand this, Trina. I try to tell them that there is a portal that literally it goes around the world at this same time, and on certain new moons, on certain other days, the portals open.
Yeah, I don't know. They knew something was going on that day, and they were doing a whole blood sacrifice thing to celebrate it. And I was like, oh my God.
That's some
Yeah.
serious.
That's what I mean. I think I was born where I was born, and I've seen some of the stuff that I've seen. I think that was all part of my agreement to show
Oh,
and teach later. And it was traumatizing as all out when I was a kid. But now that I'm
I
back,
would
I'm like,
think.
man, I
I
signed
mean,
up for some serious stuff. But hey.
I mean, you know, it's the old expression about Tonto and the Long Ranger, and you know, they were surrounded by the Indians, and Lone Ranger said, "Well, it's been good knowing you, Tonto." He says,
Absolutely.
"What the hell are you talking about, white man? I'm out of here.
Right.
So, I'm gone."
Yeah.
But
Sometimes run, Forrest, run, run.
well,
Just run.
and advised well, but that is one of those things which you saw that, you know, we often predict, we see predicted in movies, but
Yeah.
when you're there in that
It's a whole
energy,
different deal. Whole different.
yeah.
Whole different. That, like I said, I just gave me the shivers thinking of it. That
So
charm
I'm going to
is
tell you what my
yeah.
thought is on this, Trina. I don't think it's the spirits at all. I think that these are aliens. I think that they are. I am convinced we've got this idea that ET is, you know, some kind of lovable, intelligent creature. I'm telling you, I got this sense that those type of ceremonies have been going on for a very long time, and they invoke forces that we would call spiritual, but I almost contend they're of an intelligence that the best phrase would be darkened intelligence. Would that does that
Wayne,
make
what I saw that day was so dark. I mean, I wouldn't, I
oh
can't speak of all of what I witnessed because as soon as I saw what I was seeing, I literally ran away.
I bet it did. That would traumatize a kid.
It was horrible.
Yeah.
And
Well,
it was
Trina,
sexual, and they were using knives, and it was terrible. And they literally had her on an inverted cross in all white, roped to it like Christ, but upside down. So that way her legs had to be spread.
so did how long did you and your friend watch this?
Probably no more than probably 7 minutes.
Yeah, probably that was 7 minutes too
It,
long for.
it felt like hours. It was so, and the whole drive back, because we couldn't turn the lights on. We had to go very slow so we didn't crash. And we literally wouldn't even start it till we got far enough away to where they couldn't hear it. So we had to push it a long ways. And pushing that bike, we were pushing it so fast because we had so much adrenaline because we were so scared and freaked out. Yeah, it was
Whoa.
crazy. Yeah. So this stuff has been going on for a long time. And this is how they've used all this stuff against us.
Yeah.
So,
You're
and
right.
I don't think I would have been able to see that kind of crap when I was a kid unless I was supposed to. So, because I had no association with anything like that. So with that, it was definitely meant to be.
There is a give and a take. And so what people don't stop and consider, and as you were talking about that, so my mind is going, so what was being exchanged there? I mean, if you're using a living sacrifice, then that requires a great deal of power that has to be transmitted to whatever that group was being represented by.
Okay, I'll share one other part. They were using a large phallus,
Okay.
an obelisk,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
female.
Mm-hmm.
I think that was the intention, was to put her blood and her charge into that object.
Yep.
Harness her soul spirit energy.
Yep.
That's what it felt like to me.
Yeah, that's
energetic, like a spiritual, etherical, as well as physical rate.
You see, I learned decades ago that my destiny, there is a path that one can walk down that road.
I guess.
Yeah, there is. I've met individuals that have. It's a decision, and
Yeah, I know it's allowed, but it's just, I'm glad it doesn't resonate with me. But
yeah,
I
yeah,
do know it exists, and I do know
it
that
does. Yeah,
people definitely believe in it and participate in it and practice it.
that's why we present here. Speaking Freudian slip. Hello, how are you doing? Well, I'm just doing fine. Thank you very well. Okay. No.
Friends?
Yeah, it's like, but that's why we have to have faith and experience in our own magic. Otherwise, you're going to. I have a book here, and I know we're going over, but who cares? So, anyone who wants this is Daniel Dennett's book, Breaking the Spell. It's a great book. It deals with a lot of what we have just been talking about this whole hour. We'll get into it more, but this is really a good book. It explains much of what you have just said, Trina, and understanding that we have. I don't think we understand the reality that we truly live in. And as a result, because we don't want to believe in magic, religion teaches not to believe in magic.
Yes.
And as a result,
it's being done to us.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank
and
you.
it's hurting us
Yes.
as a human. It's hurting the earth. They've been using the power of mother, the power of nature to control humanity, to destroy nature.
Yeah. Yeah.
The biggest inversion of what I've ever seen.
Yeah. Wow.
It's all the power that she gives us is being used for her own destruction because it's inverted.
I think next time we get together, let's talk about that, because if they're inverting, then we can. I contend even this group here, once we become unified and solid enough, I think we can counter a lot of this.
Yeah, because like the first time that they told me about the inversion of the symbols was when I looked at the peace symbol. They said the peace symbol is inverted. Do your homework.
Mm-hmm.
Then I found the ruins and I looked at that, and the symbol is upright. It's a protection symbol.
Mm-hmm.
But when it's reversed, it is not protective. It puts you like into a compliant state, waiting for somebody to tell you what to do.
There's a lot of that.
Find your power. Yeah. So like I said, you guys were dealing with that in Woodstock with the peace symbol being all thrown all over. And your divine power was so strong, you like overrode the inversion and you brought forth the truth through your will. So it didn't matter that they inverted it on you. You guys expressed it in its upright position.
You know what they didn't count on? A bunch of stone hippies. We dropped the LSD. We said, screw this magic. Man, we're going to make our own.
And you know what, too? It's so funny. Like, this is another proof of that. It's like, okay, 911. 1 year later in New York City, on the day 911, you know what the lottery numbers were?
911.
Yep. It shows the power of our collective thoughts on the
Yeah.
subconscious level. I mean,
Mm,
we're creating with this subconscious strata. So if we can come together, like I said, with the right intentions, we can change even, I think, the symbols themselves through our common collective will.
I agree.
Yeah,
I agree.
yeah. So
Well,
all,
Trina, can you come back next week?
yes, I would love to. I will let
Okay.
you know when I can.
Okay, cool. All right, folks.
Yeah,
Wow, this
yeah.
has
That's what
been
I'm telling you.
far out.
Your sigil stuff, you're part of this unlocking the subconscious mind. And think about it. That's the divine feminine. And I really do. I think there's certain men on this planet right now. It is their task to embrace and teach the divine feminine, and you are one of them.
Well, I just want to know when I volunteered for that. Like you said, it's like, well, when did this happen? You know?
Yeah, yeah.
Uh,
It's been hidden for too long.
yeah, I agree with you, Trina. And I hope that we shed a little joy and a little inspiration amongst, our small community. And that's what really counts. And I love
Share.
your energy, girl. Yeah.
I love yours too, Wayne. You're
Yeah.
an awesome dude.
Yeah, as they would say back in my day, you was a pretty groovy chick, actually, So,
Yeah, you're a groovy guy.
hey,
Yeah.
far out. Well, folks, thank you. Thank you, all the moderators. I didn't see it. There was a lot of chatting going on while we were
Right
talking,
on.
man. Well, I'll just
Yeah,
have
we
to
were
go back. Yeah.
sharing some deep stuff. So
Yeah, I mean, this is I get emails from people that they say, that group, that chat group, it's number one, people have said they're unified,
smart.
smart, polite, respectful,
They love,
and
love,
yes,
so
yep,
much love.
that's it. And
Yeah,
deep thinkers. Yeah.
yeah. That's
Hey,
what
April, how
we're
you
all
doing?
connecting. Yeah, this frequency that we're resonating and we're trying to get to, that's what's bringing us together. I know it.
Yeah, I think so.
Yep.
It's
So I love you guys because you guys we're all on the same path trying to find it different ways, but our power together, if that's going to be what makes the difference.
I agree.
Yep.
That's far out. All right, my dear, let me know next week. Tonight, get over there, make sure you watch Brian over on Milky Way Messenger, and Franny's that's gonna be cool. Trina, thank you. I left your all your contact information on the description, and keep yourself well, you're a desert girl, so for me to say that, enjoy the summer.
Yeah, it's going to be hot.
Yeah, and we'll just believe for a cooler than average summer. We're already on that way. Miss Trina, thank you, my dear. Always a joy. Everyone, thank you. We'll see you tomorrow at the same time. Be good to yourself. Thanks, Trina.
Much love.
Bye-bye, dear. All right. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.